There yet. Hi, I'm Jo Dixon. I'm the author of The House of Now and Then, and I'm coming to you from southern Tasmania, down south of Hobart, down on our little farm down here. I'm here to talk about my book, The House of Now and Then. Which way are we going? That way? There, that one. This is my first book. I'm a debut author. I initially wrote this book back in 2015. I started it. 2017, I finished the first draft, and it's taken until then to get it out into the world. So it's been out on the shelves now since the 4th of January. So just coming on 4 weeks, I believe. And it's doing really well. I'm getting lots of gorgeous feedback from readers, which is very exciting. Hi, Wendy from South Australia. Thank you. Lovely to see you. I'm heading to South Australia in May, actually. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. What else can I tell you? So the book of The House of Now and Then. Hi, Sally from Ballarat. Oh, I know Ballarat. Been there quite a few times, actually. So the book, The House of Now and Then, is a story set in 2 timelines, 1986 and 2017. It is the story of a missing person. It's a cold case. In the present day, we've got Olivia, who has run away to Tasmania, which I must say is a brilliant place to run away to. And she has done something stupid, and she's hiding out from trolls, online trolls and vicious media. Guy turns up at her door. It turns out he's looking for someone who stayed in the house that she is in 30 years earlier. She gets drawn into a search, and they try and solve a cold case of a missing person from 30 years earlier. In the 1986 timeline, we see Pippa, Leo, and Jeremy, and we get a bit of a nostalgia trip for all things 1986, and we see what happened that eventful summer. And we've got a lot of people coming in. So we've got Jacqueline from Brisbane. I'm ex-Brisbane Jacqueline, moved from Brisbane to Tassie about 10 years ago. Marge, also from Tassie, yay, another Tasmanian. Camperdown, Victoria. Jessica, hi, nice to see you. Jody, bought it yesterday, and I'm looking forward to starting it. I hope you enjoy it, Jody. I really do, and thank you for picking it up. Thank you for taking a chance on a debut author. Alona from Japan, from Kyoto. Oh my goodness, that's cool. Thank you. You've bought the book. Wonderful. Am I coming to Cairns? I would love to come to Cairns. I haven't been to Cairns for, oh God, I can't even think. I used to work for Queensland Travel Centre way back in the day, and used to spend a lot of time up there. So I'd love to get back. Michelle, also from Tassie, grew up in Tassie. Wonderful, Michelle. Oh, from Tassie to Cairns. Oh, good grief. Wow. Usually hear it the other way. There's so many people down here who have escaped the Brisbane heat. Deborah from the Mornington Peninsula. Gorgeous area. Another Joanne. Hey, Joanne. Nice to see you. And Carolyn. Hi, Carolyn. Okay, everybody. So I've given you a bit of a blurb about the book. I guess we should ask if there are any questions. If there aren't any questions, I'll just keep babbling on and tell you all about it. A lot of people who've read the book have commented how much they enjoyed the 1986 timeline. I think there are quite a few people who had a bit of a trip down memory lane with things like West Coast coolers and the music, the jelly sandals. I don't know if anyone remembers those. In the opening scene from 1986, there's the character Pippa gets out of the car wearing a pair of plastic sandals. Does anyone remember those? Hideous plastic, soft plastic things in vibrant colours. They were the most uncomfortable thing ever. Hi, Teresa. Oh, I hope you enjoy the book when you get it. That would be great. So there's a nice little journey down memory lane with 1986. Michelle remembers jelly sandals. God, they were uncomfortable. Sharon says she loves the cover. Did I have much input in the cover? No. When I got the cover, It was nothing like I'd expected. And I was taken aback to start with, and then I just fell in love with it. It sort of just glows. The bigger version of it. Ooh, let's go this way. It was a little bit different. It stands out on the shelf, and it kind of just glows when it sits there amongst the other books, which is lovely. Janine would ask, would I be prepared to read some of the first page for us? Yeah, I guess I could do that. Well, just the first page, because otherwise we've only got 30 minutes. Okay, this is a bit about the jelly sandals. Pippa climbed from the back seat, the dust from the driveway immediately settling inside her sandals and sticking to her sweaty feet. The shoes had been a bad choice. Rebecca had insisted these orange chunks of plastic were better than a worn pair of volleys, and in an attempt at friendship, Pippa had gone along. Now she had only herself to blame for the Band-Aid covered blisters on her heels. That's what I remember of jelly sandals. Joanne remembers wearing them. Deborah says she had jelly sandals as a young child in the 60s, and then they re-emerged in the 80s. Some things shouldn't come back. I really think that. Michelle says she can't wait to read. She likes the 80s nostalgia trip. Yeah, it's a lot of people have reacted very positively to the 80s vibe of the book. I had a great time delving into the music and digging into my own memories. I was finishing high school in 1986, so it was a bit of fun looking back on that time, doing a bit of research. Alicia says she likes the cover. I love the cover. I'm absolutely adore it now. And when I see it on the shelf, I get really, really excited. Carol says she also had jelly sandals. Oh. And Jacqueline remembers them too. They were fine for kids, but not adults. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was the problem. They were probably great for kids, but not for adults. And I don't know why, as teenagers, we were trying to wear them. Okay, what else can I tell you? So the book is, how long did it take to write? Sharon asks, how long did it take you to write? So I started, the first kernels of the book came in 2015. I was living in Bangkok, of all places. My husband was working up there, and I was up there with the kids, and I couldn't work. So I did a Master's of Writing to fill my time, and I started the book. And I started what ended up being just the 1980s storyline about 3 kids from Brisbane who go and house sit in an old house in Tasmania and get caught up in something. So at the end of my Masters, I had the first 30,000 words of that story. I didn't finish the first draft of the book as it now is until 2017. So that's another year and a half later. So at the end of 2017, I had the finished manuscript, and it's been worked on, edited, pulled apart, put back together, rewritten, put away, pitched to editors and agents, rejected. And then 2021, I pitched it again to Harlequin, HarperCollins, and it was picked up very quickly at the end of the day. So I went from years and years of trying to get it across the line. And then in between pitching it to Harlequin and signing the contract, it was 3 weeks. So slow, and then suddenly very quickly. So the writing of the book probably only took a year and a half. Getting it polished took a few more years. Getting it over the line to get it published took a lot longer. What else have we got? Christine says hi. Hi, Christine. Oh, you've got a beautiful dog. That looks lovely. Michelle, thank you, Michelle. Congratulations. Thank you. What else can I tell you? So I write, my book is set in Tasmania. I chose Tasmania because I live here. And the old thing of write what you know doesn't necessarily apply to, only write your own personal life experience, but to the things that you can relate to. And Tasmania is absolutely home for me. I've never felt more at home anywhere, and it is beautiful. It is also vaguely threatening, a little bit scary. The wilderness takes up half the state. You're never too far away from the wilderness. even in the city, the mountain sort of looms over the city, and people die on Mount Wellington within view of the city if they're up there in the wrong weather. And that sort of appeals to me. And there's beauty down here, but threat as well, which I think really suits sort of a suspense novel. Kate says, loved your novel. Thank you, Kate. And she's a Tassie girl and loved the southern Tasmanian setting. Thank you. A lot of Tasmanians and people who travel down here really enjoyed picking the settings, the locations. The village in the book technically doesn't exist. There's no such place as Devil's Bay, but it does bear a strong resemblance to the village I live in, which is Woodbridge, which is on the channel, D'Entrecasteaux Channel, overlooking Bruny Island. So it's a very beautiful part of the world. What do we got? Christine says she's looking forward to reading. Thank you, Christine. I do hope you enjoy it. Joanne asks, what was the inspiration for the book? I don't know. It's been such a long process. What sort of happened was I used to spend a lot of time driving my kids to and from school in the city. So it was an hour and a half in the morning, an hour and a half in the afternoon. And I had a lot of time. Strangely enough, teenage boys don't always want to converse with their mum in the car. So I would run the story through my head, and just over days, weeks, whatever, the layers of the story sort of built up. And I look back and I wish I'd taken more notes, because I can't really unravel when and how the ideas came to me. It was like little trailers of a movie in my head, which all started to piece together and sort of start to weave together, particularly the dual timelines and sort of the twisty connections between the stories. There was no one particular inspiration. It was just sort of more of a scenarios, things that pricked my imagination or my fantasy sort of mind. So no, I can't unravel it. I wish I could. I wish I could unravel it back to where it all started. I'm pretty happy with where it ended up. Were you writing another book? Oh, Carol asks a great question. Were you writing another book during that time when you were polishing The House of Now and Then? Yes. So when The House of Now and Then kept getting rejected, I put it aside and I started something else and finished the second manuscript, which when I pitched this book to Harlequin HarperCollins, they also asked what else I had. I showed them my second completed manuscript as well, and they bought that too. So I've got the second book ready, more or less. It's got to go through the editorial process, and it will be out in the world next year, hopefully. So I did write two, and I sold both of them. Am I writing another book? Well, probably I've covered that, Deborah, but what's interesting is I am actually writing in the book 3 as well. So book 2 is about to start editorial, and book 3, which is up here, is about to start coming out of my mind and onto the page. And I can't tell you anything about that yet, but it is likely to also be set in Tasmania for now. Kate asks, when writing this one, did you have a writing schedule? Did I schedule a time each day to write, or do you just fit it in when you can? It depends on what stage of the process I'm at. Sometimes I can be really, really good and really diligent and committed and go hard and do 2,000-3,000 words a day, have big blocks of time. I like big chunks of time and I can really get knuckled down into it. And then if I, say complete a draft, I'll then get a bit waffly about it and I'll put it aside and come back in bits and pieces and do a bit of editing here and a bit of editing there. When it got contracted and I was working with an editor, then I had a deadline and I very much scheduled time and worked solidly, 5-6 hours a day. I don't go out to paid work. We've got a property down here, so I look after the gardens and the animals and the kids. So I was able to find time around all the outside jobs and outside chores and feeding sheep and all that sort of thing. So yes, I do schedule, but that schedule changes depending on where I am in the whole process. Sharon asks me, what do I like to read? Ooh, psychological suspense, funnily enough. But I also like a good rom-com. I guess I've read a really great one recently, Michelle Upton's Terms of Inheritance. Loved it. Really, really loved it. So I do like that change. A bit of romance from time to time, definitely, for a change of pace. I don't like thrillers so much, and I'm not such a huge fan of procedural crime, but I do like suspense and where characters and domestic noir, Sally Hepworth type style books, Leon Moriarty's, etc. Deborah asks, are they connected anyway? My books? No. Other than setting and location being sometimes common to them. The books aren't linked, so they're not the same characters. But I did have someone, I was talking the other day at an event, and someone asked if I would consider doing a novella of some of the characters from The House of Now and Then. I thought, wow, that's a really cool idea. So I might actually try that. Just a short story or a short novella of, I don't know, some of the key characters out of The House of Now and Then, maybe what happens next. See what's in store for them. So maybe. Kate asks, is my second book a dual timeline as well? No, it's not at this stage. Having said that, I do like writing dual timelines and I like reading them. The second book has quite a bit of flashback in it. So I'm in the editorial process, I may play around with maybe extending the flashbacks into maybe more of a timeline. We've got a little way to go yet, so stay tuned. It could change. Okay, what else have we got? Any other questions at all? Okay, so Bev asks, do you spend a lot of time researching for this book? No. My research was wandering around the streets of Hobart and around the Channel area down here where the book is set, to get the feel of it and taking notice of detail, small details that make a setting come alive. Researching the 1980s, that was a fun part. I actually found, I should have had them here. I bought on eBay some old Clios and Cosmos from 1985 and 1986. Fantastic dollies, old dollies, to see what the fashions were, what the attitude was, the language, etc. Just to sort of jog the memory. So that was fun. Actually, that was really fun. And then of course, delving into Spotify and pulling up all the old 1980s tracks and music and picking songs that would feature in the book. Just it hinted at. I was tempted to go and buy a West Coast cooler and just to remind myself about those, but I decided not to. Didn't think that was necessary. So that's probably about the extent of the research. There's one bit of research I did, which I probably can't mention without giving a spoiler, but there's a little bit where technology is used to be a bit sneaky and track someone, and I did it to see if it worked. If you've read the book, you might know what I'm talking about. Using the mail system. I can't give anything away, but that was kind of cool. I actually went shopping on the Spy shop online, and bought a gadget, which it's amazing what you can buy, apparently for no nefarious purpose, just to see. Deborah asks, am I doing a book tour? Not as such. I've got an event on the Gold Coast in February. So if anyone's on the Gold Coast, I'm doing books, bubbles and brunch through Storyfest. That's next, it's about 4 weeks away. and I'm going to come back through Brisbane and Melbourne and probably call into some bookstores. But unfortunately, not a big glamorous book tour where I travel around and stay in flash hotels and get to meet everybody. Not yet. I'm just a wee debut author, so that's not happening at this moment. Kate says she loves the description of the dress of a Sandy Bay women, very true to form. Sandy Bay is an interesting, wealthy suburb. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's both the university, so it's full of students, but it also has a wealthy residents as well. So there's a particular look, I guess, for some of those people there. And Kate says she loves West Coast coolers. Do you still drink them, Kate? I haven't had one for years. Actually, and breezes, Bacardi breezes, and all those lurid colours. Yeah, had those as well. How are we going for time? Okay, we've got a little bit longer. Is there anything else anyone would like to know? Kate says, yep, she still drinks West Coast coolers. I didn't even know you could still buy them. Apparently, they're still a thing and people are still drinking them. I'd love to know whether it's people of our generation who drank them as young folk who are still drinking them, or whether the young folk of today have discovered them. Deborah says she loves Sandy Bay and Hobart, and particularly we normally stay at the casino. Most amazing views from the casino. Fantastic when you're up there looking out over the water. It's an amazing spot. It is the tallest building in Hobart, and it's bizarre because it's right out on its own without anything else around it. So it's a really cool place. But down along that waterfront is just stunning, absolutely stunning. You've got to remind yourself it's a river mouth, not an open ocean. Naomi always got some insight for us. She says a lot of young people are drinking them as well as older generation who enjoyed them. Okay, I'm up for the challenge. I'm going to have to go and dig up some West Coast and see if I can drink them still. Kate says she drank them 20 years ago and still enjoys them. Good. Okay, that's a good recommendation. I have to give it a go. Okay, how are we going? Melvina asks, what sort of books do I like to read? As I was saying, pretty much everything. I mean, you can probably see some of the titles I've got going up here. There's, which way are we going? I can never get this right. There's Beth O'Leary, there, The Road Trip. Loved that. I love Beth O'Leary's. There's Ellie Lowe's Trivia Night. That's me. Shelley Burr's Wake. So the Australian sort of psychological suspense stuff I love, 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 love. Sarah Bailey, she's there. I'm getting the hang of this. Look at this. The Hunting Party, Lucy Foley. So things that keep you guessing, but then I also need a break from that, and I go for the rom-com type stuff, which I actually really do enjoy. Sally says, thanks, Jo. Looking forward to reading your book. I hope you enjoy it, Sally. Carol says she loved The Road Trip. Oh, I love The Road Trip. I actually really enjoyed that. Have you seen the flat share on streaming yet? It's actually quite good. Kate asks, what author inspires me? That's a good question. I'd probably say, oh my goodness, there's so many. I'm reading my bookcase on my screen. Sally Hepworth, I really do admire her books. She gets a beautiful balance of domestic setting and twists and turns and suspense. I really enjoy those. Lucy Foley, the English writer who does things like The Hunting Party up there, that one. Closed Room Mysteries, she writes those really, really well. I enjoy those. Inspires me. I guess I'm truly inspired by authors for whom it didn't come easily, because it didn't for me. So I am inspired by authors who stick at it and maybe don't get the runs on the board until the third or the fourth book, and overcome obstacles. As a writer, I'm inspired by writers who keep going, because that's what I did. Naomi asks, your book will be the next one I'm planning to read. Yay, thank you. And you can't wait for the Rachel Jones book retreat. Yeah, me too. I'm very excited about that. Jessie said she's looking forward to reading my book. Oh, my book of the month on Nice Stack of Books. Yay. And she got it as an ebook on BorrowBox. Isn't that brilliant? I think BorrowBox is just brilliant. Fantastic. I hope you enjoy it. I really do. It's not a straightforward story. It's a little bit twisty and woven together and dual timelines and multiple points of view. But I think most people can seem to be able to follow the story and keep track of who's who and what's going on. I don't think anyone's got lost with it yet. Some people have asked if I got lost while I was writing it. And I have been asked before, because of the dual timeline, whether I wrote one story completely and then wrote the other story. Interestingly, I didn't. I wrote the book from start to finish pretty much as it is now, moving from one timeline to another timeline, so that I got the rhythm of the pacing of when to move from one timeline to another, so that it flowed, and there were the reveals in each timeline, each chapter of each timeline fed into the timeline. Oh, the chapter for the next timeline. Did that make sense? Bev, great question. What did you like to read when I was a child? My all-time favorite book is The Secret Garden. I think that gets said a lot. I love that book. I still read it. I just adore it. I garden now. We've got quite large, extensive gardens, and I created a walled garden because I was inspired so much by The Secret Garden. Unfortunately, I was a very advanced reader, and I also was let loose in the adult section of the library way earlier than I probably should have. So I read some smut quite early on, which was really fun when you're 12 years old. What else too? Julie says my book's on her TBR pile. Yay. And she's heard so many good reviews. Thank you. Yeah, there's been some really lovely, lovely things said about the book. And I'm absolutely chuffed, absolutely stoked. Michelle says she loved Secret Garden. Yeah, it's just the most beautiful, beautiful book. And I think, and Lord of the Flies, strangely enough, completely different, but I loved Lord of the Flies. And to this day, I still love a sort of post-apocalyptic survival story. Actually, I didn't mention that. Carol asked, did I see the movie for The Secret Garden? All of them. The older, I think there's been 3 now, from memory, and most recent one, which was kind of a bit more magical, but I think I've seen all 3 of them, and I still enjoy them. Kate says, congratulations on the second run too. Thank you, Kate. Michelle gives me a recommendation. Try Garden Spells by Sarah Addison Allen. Okay, I'll have to take a note of that. Is that a fiction book, or is it a gardening book, Michelle? I don't know that one. I have to go and look that up. Thank you. Thank you for the recommendation. Okay, we're coming close to time, unfortunately. So unless anyone's got a super quick question. Fiction. Michelle says it's fiction. Thank you, Michelle. I'm going to go and check that one up. I love garden books, and I love gardens and books set around plants and what have you. Thank you, Alona. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. That's gone by so quick. Thank you for spending the evening with me. And for those of you who have read the book, thank you. I do hope you enjoyed it. And those for whom it's still sitting in the pile, I hope you pick it up. And I hope you enjoy it and enjoy this little trip down memory lane to 1986 and enjoy the Tasmanian setting, because it's really beautiful down here. And if you haven't been down, come and visit us. All right. Thank you. And everybody's saying thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for